One.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Coronavirus Sports Boredom Show. Today, we have got Hoopin Homies Havoc. This is Ethan. I'm your sole host for today. We got JD, who's appearing as a contestant. We
What's
also
up,
have
everyone?
some special guests for you. We got the bespectacled wonder and point guard extraordinaire, Breckin. We got the big man in the middle. We got Xander. And last but not least, the Zach LaVine fanboy himself, we got Rob. So the rules for this are pretty simple. I'm going to ask a question. The first guy is going to have 60 seconds to address that, and then we'll just go around the table. Then each other guy will have 30 seconds to address it, refute points. I got all the power. I'm going to give points out completely arbitrarily. After we go, everybody getting a chance to answer first. Somebody's going to get kicked off the show. We'll do a second round, get it down to 2, and then we'll have a winner-take-all final round. So without any further ado, let's start it off with round 1. And this question, and we'll start it off with JD. Who do you think is the most improved player in the league this year? I'll give you a couple seconds to think. And now 1 minute, you're on the clock.
I think the most improved player of the NBA this year, you got to look at a couple different guys. I mean, there's been numerous. I mean, last year we had Siakam winning, and he made a good step to being there. I think you got to look at a couple different guys. Maybe Aaron Gordon be considered in there. There's what's his face from the Mavericks, Porzingis. I mean, he's more of a comeback player too, so it's all people. But for most improved player, I think it's up for grabs for anyone. I don't think there's really a sole front winner. But I think the two guys that you really need to look at are the two youngsters in Trae Young and Luka Doncic. Now, Luka's an MVP candidate as well, and so you should, it's the most improved is still in contention for him.
5 more
I think
seconds.
I think him and Trae Young are on top of the field if there was a top of the field for these two.
All right, time's up. On to you, Breckin. You got 30 seconds.
So I agree with the points about Trae Young and Luka Doncic. They both had great rookie years, and they really stepped into that leadership role on their team. But I think I'd have to give the edge to Brandon Ingram on the Pelicans. He's really stepped into the new team and the new role, and he's averaging more points and assists and rebounds than he did last year. And he's really become like one of their go-to guys on that good young team. So I think I'd have to give the edge to Brandon Ingram. But again, there's a lot of really solid players. So I agree with JD with Trae Young, but I think I'd have to go with Brandon Ingram.
All right, your time's up. We'll go on to Xander.
All right, so I actually disagree with both you guys on this point. I believe the unquestioned most improved player this year has to be Luka Doncic. This guy wasn't even an all-star last year, and he's now a top 5 MVP candidate for a lot of different people. He's top 10 in scoring. I believe he's top 20 in assists and rebounding, and he first with a triple-double every single night. I mean, this guy, the Mavs are going to win about 16 more games than they did last year. I think he is the driving factor behind their success this year. I think some good runner-ups would definitely be the Trae and Ingram, but for me, the unquestioned most improved player is Luka Doncic.
All right, and now we'll finish it up with Rob. Here you go, 30 seconds.
All right, first off, the first two cop-out answers, no one. Obviously, Luka Doncic, great choice, but you can't tell me it's not Zach LaVine. This man has gone from tearing his ACL and only being known by the dunk contest to becoming a leader for the Bulls. Obviously, their record doesn't match it, but they were plagued by injuries from all their other players. Zach LaVine has blossomed into this leader on the court, and he's a threat now. You have people he's being called out by greats, KD, other people, Kyrie. They're respecting talent when they see it. So obvious choice is Zach LaVine.
But how much better did Zach LaVine really get? He was good, but did he make the improvement that those other guys made?
Oh, he was a borderline all-star snub this year. He should have been starting for the all-star game. He should have been starting for the all-star game. Last year he was a nobody. This year he's a dog.
I don't know, man. I feel like he's been a statistical garbage man on bad Bulls teams for a while. But okay. I guess we'll move on. Second question. And we're talking who's the best team in the NBA? Who's the favorite to win the NBA title? And Breckin, I'll give you a couple seconds to think, and then you'll lead that one off. All right.
Well, I think there are a lot of solid teams in the NBA. In the West, like the Lakers, Clippers, Even in the East, I like the Celtics. I like the Bucks. I also love the Heat, as some of you may know. But I think that the best team, you have to go with the Clippers. And just because they got two All-Stars, high caliber players in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, play both ends of the floor. They got solid bench players, great all-around team. They have a really deep bench. So I think they're the favorites to come out of the West. But the East, that's a different story. I think the Bucks are solid, but I don't see them going through. I don't think Giannis needs a shot. I don't think he's quite the clutch player needed. But I think the Celtics or the Heat are going to make it out of the Eastern. But I still think the Clippers are the best team just because of all-around depth and their two All-Stars. Kawhi Leonard's going to ball out in the playoffs like he did last year and win back-to-back chips. Calling it.
All right, sounds good. Time up, and we'll move on to Xander. 30 seconds. See what do you got?
All right, so for me, the unquestioned best team in the league is the Lakers. And I understand the Bucks have the best record right now, but I mean, you get to the playoffs, Bron just is balling. That guy's dropping triple doubles almost every night in the playoffs. I don't think anybody can hang with him. Then you get AD and LeBron, arguably two top 5 players. I think they mesh perfectly together. I think this is undoubtedly the most dominant team. I think the only reason they don't have the best record right now is partly because the season was suspended due to the coronavirus. I think they would have passed the Bucks, and also I believe Bron and AD both had some injuries throughout the year. I just think they're undoubtedly the best team in the NBA. In the East, I definitely give it to the Bucks, but to win it all, I give it to the Lakers.
All right, you're out of time. We'll move on to Rob. Who you got?
I got to go with Xander on this one. Obviously, the Lakers are the best team in all of the league. There's no team that can beat them in a 7-game series. In the East, I guess I'll give it to the Bucks, but they're going to get swept by the Lakers. The only team I can see competing with the Lakers is either the Clippers or the Rockets, and they're still going to lose probably 5 or 6 games.
All right, sounds good. We'll go finish this up with JD. What do you got, man?
All right, hold up. We're in the West. For rate set the record straight. The Lakers are 2-1 against the Clippers. I got the Clippers making it out of the West most likely, and the best 3 teams are the Rockets, Clippers, Lakers. But I got the Clippers. In the East, you got the Bucks. Sixers are a long shot. You got the Celtics, Heat, Raptors. I think it's really anyone. But right now, I got Bucks, Clippers. I have to agree with Breckin. Giannis is dominant. Kawhi is dominant. But watch out for the Rockets, Lakers, and maybe a different Eastern Conference team because there's some depth in each conference. But I got the Bucks, Clippers right now if I had to choose.
All right, sounds good. Well, 2 healthy rounds in, and we're going to kick this one off with Xander. I know this is a topic that some people in this room feel very strongly about. We're going to be talking Kevin Durant. Is Kevin Durant an advocate for player agency, or is he, in fact, a snake? Xander, what do you got?
All right, so I actually don't even understand. Wait, can you repeat the question one more time? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, no problem. So Kevin Durant, leaving the Thunder, going to the Warriors, and then again leaving the Warriors and going to the Nets. Does this make him an advocate for player agency? Is he just simply using his free will as a player fairly, legally, and in fact furthering player agency in the league? Or is he being disloyal by doing that stuff?
All right, so my opinion on this topic, I mean, I think the players have the right to go where they want. It does kind of piss me off that, like, the guy just keeps leaving, I mean, I just think you should have some loyalty to a team. You should stick with the team. I understand what he's doing. He wants to leave. He wants to find a better team. He's trying to find the best team he fits in with, and he obviously wants to make money. He wants to succeed in the league. So all in all, when it comes down to it, I think the players have the right, and they definitely should have the right to go to whatever team they want. But I see some some virtue in players who are willing to stick it with the team. Like, you look at Michael Jordan, stuck with the same team. He won 6 championships. You got to improve the team you're on, I think, rather than just keep switching teams, try to find one that best fits you. That's my opinion. But I think the players do have the right ultimately to go wherever they want.
But even Michael Jordan leaving at the end of his career, what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, I think that's like, for me that's like, I kind of compare it to like Tom Brady now, and all the, like, when you become a great player like that, I think for the last year or 2 of your career, if you want to try out another team, I mean, you kind of earned that right. But he's stuck I think over 10 years with the Bulls. I think a change of scenery, if you wanted that for the last year or 2, just to kind of shake things up. I mean, I think he earned that right. But I mean, you look at KD, the guy stayed 4 or 5 years with the Thunder, and he just leaves and he's just flipping all over these teams. I think he really doesn't have any one team he could call like his team, whereas Jordan definitely did have the Bulls, and Brady definitely does have the Patriots.
Makes sense. All right, sounds good. Well, we'll move this one on to Rob. 30 seconds, shit on the clock.
KD's a snake, no doubt about it. After he lost 3-1 against when he was up 3-1 and the Thunder went to the Warriors, he's definitely a snake. But to me, I mean, loyalty doesn't make you a great player. I don't look at, Tony Parker or PJ Stojakovic and say, since they're loyalty or Dirk, they're a good player. No, the skills, you got to respect that. He has the skills to go to any team he wants, and any team will take him. So for me, he's a snake, and I don't respect him for that, but I do respect that fact that he can go anywhere he wants.
All right, sounds good. JD, you're up.
Actually, KD was on the Thunder for 9 years with the Supersonics and Thunder. Just saying. But I think KD, as a fan, I think he's a snake because I was a diehard OKC fan. He broke my heart leaving Westbrook. But as a player, he has the right to go anywhere he wants, and if it's his choice, it's his choice. And advocate for free agency, guys can go where they want. It makes the market more viable, I guess. But as a fan, I didn't like it. I'll be honest. When he went to the Warriors, I thought, wow, he just wants to go win a championship. There's nothing wrong with that. But also, you don't want guys like LeBron, KD, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, and Giannis all on one team because that just ruins the league. So he can do what he wants, but then again, as a fan, I don't like him leaving one of my favorite teams. But he can do what he wants. He's KD, and he earned that right because he's an elite player in the league.
All right, sounds good. On to Breckin. You are on the clock.
I do not think KD is a snake. Like JD said, he put in 9 seasons into that OKC team, and he just came up short. And everyone gets mad at him for joining the Warriors, who obviously were a dominant team at the time. But they didn't even win the chip that year. Like, they weren't considered the best team in the league if you don't win the championship. So he joined that team, and he made them that super team. So as like a fan, yeah, he kind of ruined super teams in the NBA and stuff. But let's look at who did it first, LeBron James. So you have to hold that against LeBron too. And I think right now, him going to the Nets, I think that's good for him in his career. Everyone hates him for joining the Warriors. But now if he can prove that he can be a leader and lead the Nets to a championship, I think that'll just really solidify his career and put him up there with some of the all-time
All right,
greats.
sounds good. Well, the score is very close in this last round. No guarantees who'll be staying in at this point. We're starting this last question off with Rob, and we're going to go classic here. Who's the best center among these two, Bill Russell or the great Wilt Chamberlain? Give you a little bit to think about it.
No doubt it's Will. I mean, yeah, you got Bill Russell winning, 13, 14 championships? I forgot how many it did. But, 11 championships. But Will, he was dominant in the paint. Obviously, he scored 100 points in a game. The goal of basketball is to score the most points. And to me, if you could do that the best way, then you're obviously the most dominant player on the court. Bill Russell was probably a better leader and overall better athlete. But Will honestly just made strides that other people couldn't.
All right, sounds good. Let's move it over to JD. Who do you got in that debate?
All right. Between Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, Wilt Chamberlain is known for his scoring ability, and he was very impactful there. Then you got Bill Russell winning so many rings, but they also played in different eras. Bill Russell started his career in 1956 with Chamberlain, in there too. But you got to look. I mean, Bill Russell, the league was different back then, and he's dominant. Bill Russell's one of the best centers of all time. Wilt Chamberlain, in his own respects, a GOAT himself. But I mean, and also Rip Wilt Chamberlain, rest in peace. But I can't give a definitive for that because they're just too. I mean, if you put those guys 1-on-1, I think you're just gonna be playing for hours and hours if it's win by 2 because those guys are just dominant. Wilt Chamberlain's scoring force and Bill Russell, it's just his mentality and his IQ is just on a different level.
Breckin, you're up on that one.
Yeah, I tend to agree with JD. It's hard to compare these different players to different eras. But accolade-wise, probably Bill Russell. I mean, 11 championships, that's just ridiculous. But if you just some of the stories you hear about Wilt, 7 foot, like a 40-inch vertical, he was insane too. So there's no hate against him. I'm not gonna hate on him for playing at a different era. So people take that against people and be like, oh, the competition was bad. But he was dominant. I think they both were dominant, and I don't know who I would pick. That's a tough one. I mean, if you're looking at championships, Bill Russell, maybe better player, maybe Wilt, but I don't know. It's hard to decide.
All right. Well, on to you then, Xander. What do you got?
All right, so I actually also kind of agree with JD and Breckin here. I think it's really close, and it's hard to tell. I mean, for Russell, I understand the 12, 13 championships. It just slightly, I don't hold it as much value as I would nowadays championships, only because the league was so much less competitive. I don't want to take away the accolades from him. He was a dominant player, one of the best players in our game. he was like a premier defender, arguably the best defender ever to play the game. I think if I had to choose, I'd probably give it to Wilt only because of his pure athleticism, scoring ability. I mean, the guy dropped 100 in a game. No one's ever going to come close to breaking that record again. I mean, I just don't. I think in terms of dominance, Wilt probably has a slight edge, even if Russell. I mean, he's a great player. I think if he played in today's league, he would not have near as many championships as he does. Again, you got to give hats off to the guy. He's a dominant player. I give the slight edge to Wilt here.
All right, sounds good. Well, the moment of truth is upon us, and we'll be counting down the standings. Remember, these don't reset after round one, but one person will be off the show here.
Can I just say, Rob said Zach LaVine. Just remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, come on, man.
I just say JD and
That is in my
Breckin
mind right now.
JD and Breckin had 2 top thought answers, never really actually answering.
That's
Just trying to say.
true. That's true.
For what?
But
right,
we'll
Ethan,
start off
talk.
by saying who's safe with 6 points, leading the way. We got with 6 points and leading the way for right now. We got Xander. He's through to the second round. Also through to the second round with 4 points. We got Breckin, and this was a close battle. We got the Zach LaVine fanboy who basically threw a question away on that. And then we got JD, basically spent his entire last 30 seconds stumbling over his words and just going on a rant where he really didn't say anything at all.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
We'll be moving on 2 points to the second round. We have JD. Sorry. The Zach LaVine stuff was
Bro, he was a snub from the All-Star League. What are you talking about? You're telling me Kemba Walker is a better player than
okay, but it's bigger. It's not biggest snub. That wasn't the question, okay?
Ethan, how many points? How many points do I have?
Yeah, how many
We
points
have
do
2 points right now. The
2.
standings
You gave me
right
2 points for
I
my
have
first
1?
answer. Okay. 2 points for my first answer.
One?
Everyone agreed with me. No, don't even.
I
We
had
got
1
Xander with
point.
6, Breckin with 4, JD with 2, and Rob with
That is arbitrary.
And yep,
Absolutely.
see you later, Rob. It was nice.
Messed up, bro.
So,
Hey, should I remove him or mute him so you
yeah,
can stay and
just get
listen?
him out of here.
Dang.
And Rob is gone.
Hey! All right.
Zach LaVine.
Now that we got the real basketball minds in the room, let's move on here. Round 2.
Hey, can we go in reverse order?
No, we'll be going same order. It doesn't
All right,
matter.
fine. That's fine with me.
Well, y'all get your chance here. 3-question round. The scores carrying over from round 1. Top 2 are going to make it to the finals. And we're going to start it off with some relatively recent news. The trade between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors involving Wiggins and D'Angelo Russell. We'll start with you, JD. In your opinion, who won that trade? Your minute is underway.
I mean, for both teams, I think it worked out pretty well because D'Angelo Russell, they already got 2 guards, Curry and Thompson there. So I think, getting him, I think overall, getting him to Minnesota helped the Timberwolves a lot. I mean, him and Towns, I think, go good together. But then again, the Warriors got Andrew Wiggins with Curry and Thompson. That's a great duo for them. Who won the trade necessarily? I think it just works out good for both teams. Overall, I would probably say that the Warriors won the trade because they traded Russell, but they also got 2 picks. They got a 2021 first round pick and a 2021 second round pick with Andrew Wiggins. And the picks, they're valuable. I mean, they got Eric Pascal, who's a rookie this year, and he's doing good in the league. So I think the Warriors overall won the trade, and I think Wiggins next year with Curry and Thompson and Green and even Eric Pascal, that's a decent team, and they're going to be solid. But don't forget about the Timberwolves because they have D'Lo and they got Cat, and that's a good combination. And I think they're also a team to watch out for. But then again, Towns could get traded. He could be on that trading block. So we'll just see how it plays out. But my overall winner is the Warriors in this one.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move it on to Breckin. 30 seconds. You're on the clock.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with JD. I think it's a very solid trade for both teams. Timberwolves needed a point guard. Obviously, the Warriors have guards, and they don't need anyone. So trading away D'Angelo Russell and getting Wiggins. And, yeah, the big thing in that trade was the picks. I think that's what gives the Warriors the edge in this one because you get a solid guy in Wiggins, and he's steadily improving over his career. He's actually taken a big jump this year. So I think the Warriors probably win this trade. I'd have to give it to them.
All right. Xander, on to you.
All right, I actually 100% disagree with both you guys. I think that the Timberwolves, without a doubt, won this trade. I think you get rid of Wiggins, who's been a huge disappointment in my opinion. I think he's been a below-average player, especially this year. He's had a hot start, but he really cooled off. He's not been the player they thought he was going to be. In addition, they were able to trade.
22 points, and he's just off to a hot start.
Wiggins is good.
I mean, he's.
Go on, Xander. You're good.
I think his years not been bad this year. All in all, his career has definitely been a disappointment. I mean, the guy was like a top 5 pick, and he's only been like, I think he's a big contract. He's not worth the contract, in my opinion. Then you get D'Angelo Russell, who's I think an all-star caliber player when healthy. And I understand they traded away some picks. I think what they're really doing there is betting on themselves. I think they're thinking that the duo of Russell and Towns together is good enough to be a playoff caliber team. So in their opinion, those picks won't end up being worth that much anyway. I think it's a good deal for the year was just to find a replacement for Kevin Durant, but I just don't see Wiggins ever really coming near that level of play. I don't even really see him becoming close to an all-star caliber player. All-star caliber player, excuse me. I think Russell is just a better player, and I just think it was a good move by the Wolves.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we'll move on to the next question then. And
Hey,
we'll
real
start
fast,
this
Ethan.
one off with what's up?
Hey. All right.
All right. So now we're moving on to the second question of the round, and some more current news in the NBA. Recently, the Rockets trading away Clint Capella, really their only talented big man on that team, and even running with the lineup, so the tallest dude who's shorter than the NBA average. So we'll start off with Breckin. Do you think that this small ball strategy, get out and run, shoot the 3 ball that the Rockets are running, do you think this is a strategy that could work for them, could possibly win them a title?
I'm not really sure. I feel like only time will tell. I would definitely say it's a pretty ballsy move to do it, nonetheless. But the Rockets have been known as an offensive team, very 3-point focused. So I feel like if they're just gonna go with the 3-point, they're gonna go with it hard, and I feel like it could work. We don't know yet. I feel like the league is shifting more towards a small ball era with bigs being less valuable, and if you are big, you need to be able to shoot the 3. And so I think if they're gonna run with the 3-point line, they're gonna go all in, and it could pay off, could not. It also depends on like the scoring nights. When they lost to the Warriors, I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, they shot horrible from the 3-point line, and they all their shots are a majority of 3s. So I feel like it could pay off, it could not. I guess we'd have to wait and see, but it's definitely a ballsy move and risky move, but it could pay out big for them. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, on to you, Xander. What do you have to say about Rocket small ball?
I agree with Breckin. I think it was a very ballsy move on their part. In the long run, I just don't think it's going to pan out. You get to the playoffs, or you say you're playing the Lakers. I mean, who's going to guard AD? Who's going to guard Bron? Those guys are like the 2 star players on the Lakers. They're both taller than your biggest man. I just don't know how that's going to work. On offensive side, sure, it could work if you rely on the 3 ball, but especially on the defensive side, I mean, man, I just don't think that a style play is going to sustain itself in the long run. Like, it just, I don't think small ball in today's NBA can really play out, like, to the point that you can actually be a very competitive team.
Yeah, defense definitely tough. Good point you bring up there. And now we'll go on to JD to round out this second part of the second round.
Okay, you can't say they can't beat the Lakers because they beat the Lakers. James Harden took the tip against Anthony Davis, and they beat the Lakers. And don't forget that they beat Rudy Gobert. They beat they beat big guys. And Clint Capella got injured, so they were forced to go into that role. And they did it well. They executed. Russell Westbrook went on a tear in February. They went off. They're one of that 10-game stretch where they first tried it out after Capella got injured. They proved every single person wrong. And they're still one of the top teams in the league. The Rockets, it gives Russell Westbrook more space around the floor. He can guard bigs. He's not horrible. He's a big guy. Harden can guard bigs. They beat the Lakers in a very good thing. And in a 7-game series, what Xander said, well, the Rockets did it once already. So, I mean, you can't say that the Lakers would beat the Rockets when they haven't done it. And Rockets small ball's working right now. They're shooting good. PJ Tucker's good. They're playing good. And Harden and Westbrook are 2 dynamic guys who, in some sense, can't be stopped sometimes when they're on.
All right. Well, sounds good, JD. Again, the score is close as we move on to this final segment of round 2 before somebody gets yeeted off the show again. And we're going to start this one off with Xander. Unfortunately, the season being suspended by coronavirus, of course, there's a very real possibility the season does not finish. So, if the season does not finish, should the Bucks be awarded the world title based on their record, or do you think that there should be no title awarded for the season this year?
Oh man, it's a really tough question. I feel like there'd be so many conflicting opinions on this. I mean, we really never had this occur in the NBA. It's tough to make a decision here. I think if you play, I don't know how many games they played, 40, 50 games or 60 games, whatever it is, you kind of have to give out a title. I'd have a hard time giving it to the Bucks without them actually winning a championship. But I guess if you have to give out a title, I think the Bucks deserve it more than any other team because they obviously have the best record. So I think that, yeah, if the season didn't end up being finished, you kind of have to give it to the Bucks.
All right.
It's my turn, right?
Yep. Moving on to you,
All right.
JD. What do you got?
Well, for one, I think that they're not going to cancel the season. They're going to find a way to play it out. But if they did have to, I think that they would do it by conference. So I think it would be the Lakers and the Bucks because you can't claim an overall champion. You just can't. If they weren't to do that, then they would probably just say no champion or something. I think they do it by conference. So it'd be Bucks and Lakers with the top records. But you can't give an overall definitive team. I'm just not okay with that because there's so many teams that have to prove themselves. I mean, even like the Sixers, who are like the 5 seed, the Pacers down there. Those all teams could be in contention for the finals. So you can't really give it. I would just have a hard time with that as a fan, especially. So that's why I think the NBA season will finish, or at least will jump to the playoffs, because there's no way that they're just letting the season go unless this virus goes south.
All right, sounds good. Well, you're out of time, and now we'll move on to Breckin with this last 30-second segment. What do you got?
Yeah, I definitely don't think they're gonna end the season right here because worst comes to worst, you can obviously just like get rid of summer league. Not really watching that garbage. Just push back into the summer. But yeah, if they ended it now, I don't think you can't give the championship out to someone because as we've seen in the past, you just look at the Warriors. They were 7-3-9. They didn't even win the championship that year. So obviously the best record is not always the most accurate to like the best team and like 7-game stretches. And the Bucks are in the Eastern Conference, so you could argue that it's a weaker conference, so it's easier to win games. But I don't think you can definitively give like an NBA championship without like having to prove it. Because honestly, if you look at both conferences, they're pretty much up for grabs. And there's obviously like the clear people you think, oh yeah, these guys are dominant, but you could look at like the Jazz, oh they could like make a run, or like different players in like the East, like the Heat, oh they could make a run. The Pacers. So yeah, there's no way you can just give out the championship like that.
All right, sounds good. Well, that's that for 2 rounds, and only 2 of you can go to the winner-take-all final round, where you'll each have 1 minute to address a single question for the dub. But the man who is safe in this group here, with 9 points, really solidified his position in the second round, been consistent all day. We got Breckin moving on to the finals.
Sure.
And now for that second spot, we had JD, who started out tough and really came back strong. And then we got Xander, who believes that 22 points per game is just a hot start.
Andrew Wiggins is so good.
I was going
Andrew
on a
Wiggins
career,
is so good.
not just this year. Dude, just a career.
Bro, he's going off.
Hold up. For the career, he's averaging 19.7 points per game. Just saying.
Contract is not worth that. The contract he has is like he's getting paid way too much money.
He's a good player.
The man, regardless,
He's not good enough for the contract.
the debating for round 2 is over, guys. And now the man who will be moving on to the final round, we got JD. Xander.
What are you kidding me?
Actually,
That's trash.
lost points in that round.
That's trash. What the? Wow.
Andrew Wiggins is not good.
He's not good. He's
Yes,
trash.
he is, bro.
He's not good.
I'm kicking Xander. Goodbye.
I quit.
Hey.
Hey, what were the points? So I want to know how did I.
The current standing is Breckin with 9, JD with 6, Xander with 5, and Rob, of course, with 0.
Garbage.
Dude, you said Andrew Wiggins trash. Come on, bro.
Dude, no way, bro. Yeah, Andrew is, and especially recently, because
Exactly, and the Warriors won that trade.
Now, like,
The Warriors won that trade. Yeah.
for sure.
Totally agree, and that is why he is no longer with us. But
Look at that
anyway, we
group
move
chat.
on to this final round. It's going to be one question. You're each going to have 1 minute. We'll start it off with Breckin.
Do we
Wait,
like,
is it just one question?
One question, 1 minute each. It's winner take all.
Okay.
We'll be starting it off with Breckin, and the question is, I'll give you a few seconds to think. Who is the best player overall in the NBA draft?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I love LaMelo Ball. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's just interesting player to say the least. He's just definitely a generational talent at the 6'8" point guard position. If you watch his games, his core vision is unbelievable. He was playing on the best high school team in the nation as a freshman. Obviously, you can see Lonzo. He's a solid point guard in the league. But I feel like Lonzo's definitely going to have a better career. I think potential-wise, Lonzo, maybe like right now, skill-wise, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, they're up there. But I just think if you pass on LaMelo Ball, like he's special. If you just watch him play, he shoot the ball. Just his passing is just unbelievable. His core vision, just his awareness on the floor, his IQ for the game. I just think LaMelo Ball is probably skill-wise the best in the league or in the draft.
Sounds good. We're just about out of time, so let's go over to JD. What do you got?
I think you have to look at a couple things. Obviously, position's hard, but I don't think there's one clear, definitive guy in the draft. There's not one guy that stands out. There's no Zion. There's no guy like that. I think your top players are Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Jameis Winston. I think that Isaac Okoro from Auburn is underrated.
Jameis Winston?
No,
You think he's
James.
going to the NBA now?
I said James Wiseman. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm talking fast because I got time. Now you just shorten my time. Come on, bro. You got Isaac Okoro. You got Obi Toppin. I think those are some top guys. I think Obi Toppin is going to be underrated. He's not the best player in the draft, though. Okoro, he's underrated, but he's not the best player. Anthony Edwards, in some respects, is one of the best players. I think if you would have seen March Madness, you would have seen more of a distinction maybe between Edwards and Wiseman. I think Wiseman is obviously the best big man in the draft, but it's not definitive. And then also you got to look at LaMelo and Edwards. Edwards has proven himself in college. LaMelo's been playing overseas and different things, and he's coming out of high school. But there's no clear definitive guy. I'm not sold on LaMelo. I'm not sold on Wiseman. I'm not sold on Edwards. But right now, most likely, Wiseman is going to go number one to the Warriors. What I would think if the Warriors get the first pick in lottery, but we don't know what's going to happen there. I think right now, if I were a GM trying to build my team, I would have to either go with LaMelo Ball or Wiseman. But then again, it depends on your team's needs. You know what I mean? And so it just depends. You can't say like who's the best player because they're different positions. It's like saying, you know what I mean? It's just hard. But if I had to, you're really making me cut the corner. But I'd probably choose Wiseman. But then again, it's not a center league anymore. It's not a center league anymore, so because we don't know.
All right. JD, you're done. You've taken up like 2 minutes here. You're done. And we do have a winner on this show because there can only be one. And unsurprisingly, that winner is Breckin. Congratulations, man. JD.
What did I do wrong here? He said LaMelo Ball is the best.
JD's inability to give a definitive answer on the show really hamstrung him all day. I don't think I've ever seen
like 10
Hold up.
Say what?
Yeah, I was giving a list that there's no definitive guy. There's no definitive person.
Okay, well, you could have made that point in 10 seconds. You went 2 minutes and
you kept interrupting me. You're like Jameis Winston.
Honestly, JD, your answer is probably better, but you also took like 10 minutes and you.
Because Ethan interrupted me, I lost my train of thought. I was in the middle of a train of thought.
JD, I know we talk a lot of sports on this show, but this is basketball, okay?
Also, Breckin, why is Ethan the show host?
We're done talking, Brady. Anyway, that should just about do it for.
Hey, one last question. Who's the best player? Who's MVP?
Thank you for having me. MVP?
Who's MVP of the league if you had to choose right now? Just before we go, just between us three, yeah. Ethan, what do you think?
Giannis.
MVP of the league, Giannis. Gotta be.
All right, what's your top three? Give me your top three each of you.
Argue for it, like.
Top three?
Yeah,
maybe
top three.
Giannis, Harden, LeBron in that order? Something like that?
Breckin?
Giannis, LeBron, either Kawhi or Harden. I don't
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I think LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Kawhi are the best four for sure. Anyways, it was a good show, Breckin. Congratulations, Ethan. Good job, everyone. We will see you next time.
Good.
And this was HHH. It was fun, everyone. Have a good one.